Guys, it's that time of year again. Time to start torturing myself with guesstimating corn yields. I kind of actually have fun doing this to see how close can I really get. And then also, while we're here, we'll do a pollination check. So let's spin around and get going. First thing we're gonna do is see if I can't hook. If I can't hook this, maybe I can set this chunk of dirt here at this first plant. So that will be our starter plant right there. We'll set that in the ground. We'll put that chunk of dirt on it. Now we're gonna go 17.5 feet if we're on 30-inch rows. Why 17.5 feet? That's a great question, guys. Glad you asked. 17.5 feet is 1/1000th of an acre on 30-inch rows. So 17.5 feet ends. Man, that is awesome. That ends right here. That is right there at that plant. So now we count back usable plants. This plant, as of right now, has no ear on it, so we will not count him. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you had 33,000 in this particular spot. If we were going this way, I would almost count these two as one. They're right on that border. The only reason I wouldn't is because you can see both ears are very equal size to the rest of the ears going. But if you get any that are super doubled up, I would count them as one. So we're at 33,000 plants in this particular spot. Then what we would do is you would just go, you'd pick an ear and then just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pick an ear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, pick an ear. I'm not gonna do that this year because I drive myself nuts. But if we just come in here and we just take this ear, let me pause the camera so I can tear that open. All right, first thing we notice is we have great pollination. Trying to get the camera to focus in on it, but it's, there we go. So you see all these little, as of right now, they're just a little blister. If we would have had bad pollination, as the ear develops more, you'd see the blisters kind of disappear instead of turning into a kernel. So 2011, we had some nasty heat right at the beginning of some of the early pollinating corn. So as you rolled the cob like this, you had almost 1/3 to 1/4 of the kernels missing on a per cob basis. So here's where, on figuring yield, here's where it's going to get tricky. We kind of need to know the history of this plant. Now in our area, there are some hybrids that will do 22 rows around, and they'll do 40 or 45 long. Well, you know that them aren't going to do 70,000 kernels to a bushel. Them are going to be 100 to 120,000 a bushel. But I have history with this hybrid. It consistently does that 75-ish. 75 to 80,000 is a great, real accurate number on a year like this. If it was a much worse year like 2014 or last year with that early frost, then you'd be pushing 100,000 kernels to a bushel. But on a year like this, the history of this hybrid, we know it's going to be in that 75 to 80,000 plants, kernels to a bushel. So if we start, I don't know if I can do this one-handed. So we start by that little leaf. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we're 14 round. We're always an even number round. I gotta get in the sunlight. Maybe these little vampires will disappear. Lengthwise, one, we don't go to the very tip. We look at where the rows kind of start to disappear. And on this one, they don't. They actually do run right to the tip. This is just an absolute textbook gorgeous ear. Down at the bottom, we excuse me, we live a few rows down at the bottom just for safety's sake, to be honest with ourselves. So we got an easy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14. So there's 34, 35. They're at 35. Now we start to, the rows kind of start running together a little bit. So we can honestly use a 14 times 35. Let me get the calculator out. Take our calculator and we take 14 rows around times 35 rows long times 33 plants in our simulated 1,000. Divide by 80,000 kernels to a bushel. That gives us around 200 bushel. But remember, we got some kernels up on here to protect that, you know. So if it comes in a little bit lighter on the kernels, we still have some kernels up here. There is a random, actually this year there's not a random double. There is almost a sucker ear on every plant. Now that sucker ear does not have to fully develop. If that sucker ear gives an extra 50 kernels, you know, at 20 extra plant, that's an extra 1,000 kernels. You know, that adds up really quick. Very likely on the year we're having, them sucker ears are going to give us an extra, I don't know, 5 to 10 bushel plus the quality of this ear. So let's keep that in mind. So as of right now, I'm going to say this pass, when I come up this pass, I will say we're going to be at 200 plus. I'll say 2 plus. How about 210? I'll put my money on 210. 210. All the money on black. 210 black. That is where I'm going to put this, unless we have a super early frost that screws this all up, or any act of God from now till then. But if this summer keeps on doing what it's been doing, I'm going to put this pass at 210, and you guys hold me to it. And when we come out here, I'll try and remember to record this pass on its own. I can always, even if I forget, I can always go to the computer in the home office and we can take the cursor over the field map when it comes to that time. And I can find this yield. I can find the yield of this spot if I needed to, if I forget to. But yeah, that is an absolute, that's as accurate as I can get. I have no incentive to lie. Let me spin. Yeah, so that's as accurate as I can get. I have no incentive to lie other than to torture myself. I do not care about bragging rights or bragging ability at the local cafe for yield. I do not care if other people want to go to the cafe, because the first person to tell the yield at the cafe loses anyhow. So, but I want to be as honest as I can to myself, just so I don't torture myself too bad. And who gains anything by lying? It's just like the test plot. Some of the people are like, well, yeah, you should spike some extra fertilizer in there, you know, so your test plot looks good. Well, for what? Why? I would gain zero knowledge. That would benefit me zero, because I do the test plot to try and learn about them new hybrids and which ones are going to be good and which ones are able to replace the old hybrids and which ones can't replace the old hybrids. So it would gain me nothing to cheat the test plot just to have a braggy test plot. I guess a guy could always put in a couple acres of a quote-unquote test plot and then just throw a bazonker's worth of fertilizer at it and be like, oh yeah, I got 300 bushel. I don't know if it would ever break 300 bushel here. That'd be pretty interesting. So yeah, 210, guys. Let's keep it at 210. Considering my 10-year average is 135, considering our county average is, I think we broke 100 this year. I think we finally are at like 101 or 102 for the Pine County average. I think that's pretty cool. You can try it on soybeans, do the exact same thing, 17.5 feet, count how many plants. Me for soybeans, I would count 3-pod and 2-pod beans only. And then you get a count of pods in that 17.5 feet, add it all up to get a number of beans in 17.5 feet. And then I personally would divide that into, like, for safety's sake, on a year like this, I'd use 25 to 2,700 seeds per pound to figure out your yield. So let's say you had 120 plants alive in that 17 feet. So that meant that you had 120,000 population. Just like here, the 33 plants represented 33,000 population. So if you had 120 plants, let's just say you had 60 good pods per plant, 180 beans. You had 180 good beans per plant. You do the math. You know, let's just say 100,000 plants, so I can do math while we talk. 100,000 plants at 180 good beans per plant. You divide that by 3, that gives you 600. You end up with 600 or something, or 6,000, and then you would divide that by 60. So 60 pounds per bushel of beans. You divide that by 60, and then you'd end up with 100 bushel beans. So yeah, that's how that works. I hope you guys followed that. But all right, guys, I am going home to spend some time with the wife before I leave to North Dakota tomorrow. But yeah, I'll get this posted up here and we'll have some fun. Wait, before I forget, you guys do it. You guys do it. Pick a spot and see how close you come this fall to your spot, and just have some fun with it. Let's have some fun. See who, you know, can we buy a guy a hat, whoever comes in the closest? Can we, as a collective group, buy the guy a beer? I don't know. We'll figure something out, guys. But you do it somewhere on your farm, and we'll see this fall how it comes in. All right, guys. Now, thank you for watching.